Hello, class. So in the previous video, we imported our CAD. We're getting our presentation board set up, but one issue we have right now is that we can't see the CAD work very cleanly. And I'm going to start by solving that problem in this video. And really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay a blank color between the CAD work and the perspective to block out the perspective so they can easily see the CAD work behind. So I'm going to do this in a couple steps and I'll show you different decisions you can make along the way. Basically, I'm going to go down to the perspective layer simply to create a new layer in between the two. And I'll just call this, I'll call it background. You could call it color or, separator or anything like that. And for simplicity, I'm just going to start with white. So I'm going to come over here to my color picker, pick pure white for my fill, turn off my stroke by clicking on the donut and hitting the slash. Okay, and then I'm going to pick, since I'm just drawing a rectangle, I'm just going to pick the rectangle, start at this corner, even though this corner is already white, knowing that I might change the perspective in a step or two, I'm just going to block it all out now and draw over so that the left-hand side is approximately the same margin as that, right? So again, thinking about margins and drawing spaces is good to do. And once I've done that, I just need to fix this margin a little bit more. Once I've done that, though, you can clearly see that I can read the CAD work pretty cleanly now. Now, there's still a lot we can do to make that CAD work better, but at least I can clearly see it. And for now, I'm going to talk about this background strip because, yes, I put white here, but there's lots of different things you could do. So let me just run you through a couple of the choices that you can make. Besides using white or white in this way. One of the simple things you can do is use a different color. Now, generally, I recommend that you stay usually on the gray scale works the best and simplest. White, black, or even a gray tone can work really nicely. You can use color sometimes, but you don't want it to have sometimes people experiment with gradients and mixed colors, and that just makes this field become too distracting. This field is not meant to be distracting. It is meant to be able to see the CAD work or whatever drawing you might be putting over onto something, right? So white, I really love. Black or dark grays, I really like. Colors sometimes work. Like if your perspective certainly was driven in one particular color direction, you might choose to use that same color for this element of your work to unify it all together. So it's not that you can't use color, but it has to make sense, and it ultimately wants to go towards enhancing the drawing, not being interesting in its own sake, as sometimes young designers like to do. So the other thing you can do is you can actually set the transparency down a little bit, which can be interesting. So if you just let just a very little bit, like 75% might even be too much, like even like 80 approximately, lets the perspective be seen behind it a little bit, can really provide an interesting effect while still clearly reading the drawing in front of it. Now, obviously, if you did the transparency, at least in my case, I'll have to go back and fix the perspective, which we will get to later on in a different video. But I do want to finish this background element because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go with a dark gray color for mine. And the reason why I'm going with a dark gray color for mine, oops, I changed the stroke, not the fill color. Let me try that again. The reason why I'm going with a dark gray color for mine is because really there's lots of dark grays not only in the shadowing, which contains the left-hand image of this perspective, but also in the brickwork, which was an architectural choice for me to have this sort of saturated or desaturated brick color against a highly saturated element of the house. And so I want to sort of bring that here. I think this will fade back, match with the perspective if it's a fairly dark gray. I might even go darker because the transparency sort of lightens it up a bit. Now we notice as I make this darker, what's happening is the CAD work is becoming less readable, and that is possible to be fixed. I'm going to make this video about blocking out part of your perspective or adding color as needed because I think it's a good place to end. In the next video, we're going to go and look at continuing how to enhance our CAD.